And you can lie with your knees bent or your legs long, whichever you prefer. And the first thing I'd like you to do is to bring your attention to your head and to your shoulders and to your neck, and just sort of check in with that whole sort of area and see how it feels. And then when you're ready, you're going to just start to let your head roll a little bit to the right and to the left. And so as your head starts to roll to the right and to the left, you may become more aware of any tension in your neck. You may become more aware of how your shoulders feel. And as much as possible, you're going to let the backs of your shoulders settle onto the ground. Yes, that's nice, Aditi. And let the arms be really heavy and relaxed. Good. So a couple more times, let your head roll to the right and to the left. And then find a comfortable place to settle the back of your head on the floor. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And if your legs are long, you're now going to bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. That's it. And again, take a moment to feel the contact of your feet on the floor. So you've got a little distance between your feet, and then you're going to start to let your knees tilt to the right and to the left. That's very nice. And just see how this feels. So when I was doing this a little bit earlier, before we started on Zoom, I was thinking, oh, you know, I have a little bit creaky around my pelvis. I'm going to keep this movement small. So it just really depends on, you know, how does your body feel right now on this rather cold Monday morning? And do a movement that feels right for you now. And it might be less than you normally do, or you might be feeling great, and it might be that you go a little bit further with it. Good. So just a couple more times, to the right and to the left. Lovely. And then settle in the center and keep your knees bent. And then from here, you're going to fold your right knee in towards your chest. And just hold around the top of your knee for a moment. Just have maybe a breath or two. That's it, with your knee folded in towards your chest. And then what we're going to do from here is you're going to lengthen that leg up towards the ceiling. And you might want to catch your hands around the back of your thigh so you can support your leg. And you can, yeah, just maybe a little bit of circling your ankle, or pointing your toes, pointing your heel, or even a little bit of shaking your leg out if you prefer. So just that feeling, if you've taken your leg up, what would you like to do? And you don't need to stay there long. So just the feeling of what's it like to let the leg lengthen out. That's it. And then fold your knee back into your chest again. Hold around the top of the knee again. And now lengthen your left leg out on the floor. And once you've lengthened your left leg out on the floor, maybe bounce the knee, roll the leg. Just what can you do to let that help that left leg to settle down on the ground? Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then again, we're going to lengthen the right leg up towards the ceiling. So, and again, you could hold around the back of your thigh. You could, whatever you like when that leg's up, you could shake the leg a little bit. You could circle your ankle. You could point your toes, point your heel. So just, yeah, what do you feel drawn to doing? Good. Yes, and either supporting your leg with your hands, or you don't have to. If you, yeah, just see what feels good. And then from there, you can let both legs lengthen out on the floor for a moment. I'm just going to grab a tissue and then come back. Good. So let both legs lengthen out on the floor, give them a little roll, give them a little bounce. And then from there, bend both knees. Good. And then fold the left knee into your chest. Hold around the top of that knee. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then when you're ready, see how it feels to take that left leg up towards the ceiling. Good. And again, you can give the leg a bit of a shake. You can circle your ankle. You can point your toes, point your heel. So again, it's that feeling, you know, what does your leg feel like when you've taken it up? What would be helpful to do? Don't stay there too long. That's it. So from there, you can fold your knee back in towards your chest. Let a breath come in, and as you exhale, so hold around the top of your left knee and then let your right leg lengthen out on the floor. Make sure your left foot is as relaxed as possible. And then also just let your right leg bounce or roll on the floor. So you've got a long right leg. Good. That's very nice. And then lengthen the left leg up towards the ceiling again. Holding around the back of your leg if you like. If you're shaking your leg out, you might not want to hold around the leg. And then if you're going to do a bit of circling into your ankle or pointing your toes, pointing your heel, you might then want to hold around the back of your leg. So you've got all these options. Just, how does it feel to take your leg up? It might feel nice. It might feel a bit more challenging. And then you can, whenever you've had enough, that leg can lengthen out on the floor again. So you've got two long legs for a moment. You can, either lie quietly, let a breath come in, let a breath leave you, or you can roll your legs or bounce your knees. And we're going to do some movements for the upper body now. So it's up to you whether you keep your legs long, or if you're more comfortable with your knees bent, bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. So whichever you prefer. And so we're going to do some of these movements where we're trying not to move the pelvis and the legs. You're going to be taking your arms up and interlinking your fingers over your chest. So you're making a big circle with your arms. So you're imagining you're holding a beach ball on your chest. Yeah, that's it. Very nice. And then you all know this one. You then start to rock across your upper back. So rock your circle a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. Let your head move with your arms. And try to keep your circle circular, yeah? So if you think, oh, I'm going a really long way with this, how fantastic, just have a look at your arms and make sure your circle hasn't gone into some sort of funny stretched out shape. That's it. Because what we're trying to do here is this really helpful feeling of rocking across our upper back, easing into some of the tightness between the shoulder blades. That's nice. Good. Good. And whenever your arms get achy or tired, bring them down to rest on the floor for a breath or two. And we're going to do a different shape in a moment. That's it. So let the arms come to rest. Let a breath come in. Let a breath leave you. Very nice. And then you're going to be the familiar one. We come back and make our arms into a triangle shape. So straight elbows now, touching the palms together. That's it. And the same rocking movement. So we've made this triangle with our arms. We're rocking our triangle to the right and to the left across our upper back. Keeping the elbows straight. Not letting the hands slide on each other. That's it. And making sure your head is moving with your arms. Lovely, really nice. Good. Good. So once, twice more, obviously rest your arms down as soon as they start to feel tired. Let the arms come onto the floor beside you. Let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And if your legs are long, now bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. And when you're ready, come back to tilting your knees to the right and to the left. Lovely. And see how this feels. That's very nice. So maybe through working a little bit on the upper back, we find this movement feels a bit freer, a bit easier. And then you're going to pause in the middle, just for a moment, and you're going to then cross your arms over your chest. That's it. And now start to come back to rocking, but now let your knees and your elbows and your head all go to the right and all go to the left. That's nice. So how does it feel to rock side to side across the back of your body? This is this opportunity to give yourself a bit of a massage, give your back of your body a bit of a massage. Make sure whatever you're doing, it feels comfortable. It would be nice if it felt enjoyable. And what we're going to do from here in a moment is rock onto one side and have a few breaths on that side, and then come back onto our backs and do a bit more rocking and then go onto the other side. So I'd like you to rock your way all the way onto one side. And what you might want to do at that point is uncross your arms and bring one arm under the side of your head like a pillow. Or even if there is a cushion nearby, you could slide that under your head. So I'd like you to just be on your side, and we're going to have 3 cycles of breath here where we really bring our attention to our breathing, feeling the movement of the breath. So feeling your breath come in, feeling your breath leaving you. And twice more, just really focusing your attention in on your breathing, feeling the inhalation, feeling the exhalation. And when you've had those 3 cycles of breath, you're going to rock back onto your back. If you can remember which arm you had on top when you had your arms crossed over your chest, put the other arm on top. It doesn't really matter too much. So come back to rocking with your arms crossed over your chest, rocking a bit more side to side. And then from here, we'll rock onto the other side and have 3 cycles of breath, but do a little bit more rocking from side to side before we do that. Lovely. Very nice. So when you're ready, let yourself rock all the way over onto side 2 and make yourself as comfortable as possible on side 2. So whatever works in terms of your arms, if there's a cushion nearby and you want to put it under your head, by all means do so. And then 3 cycles of breath on this side. So really bringing your attention, gathering it into feeling your breathing. Feeling your in-breath expanding within you, feeling your out-breath emptying you. 2 more times, just really being with the feeling of your breath in your body. Lovely. And then from here, we're going to come onto hands and knees, and we're going to do a couple of dog poses. So take your time, but hopefully in doing all these things lying down, we've maybe eased out some of the, real tightnesses in our bodies, and perhaps we're, starting to feel a bit more like ourselves. So coming onto hands and knees. Big handprints on the floor, tucking your toes under. So when you're ready, exhaling, rocking your hips back over your heels, picking your knees up off the floor, seeing how your dog pose feels today. And so, of course, bending one knee, bending the other. Letting your head go. Having a few breaths there, very nice. Sorry if it gets noisy for a moment. I think the bin men very thankfully are here to empty the bins. Good. And you can have another couple of breaths in that dog, or you can come back down. From the second dog pose, we're going to take into a forward bend and up into standing. So it's very much up to you. If you feel that you want a couple of breaths in child pose before you come into another dog pose, you can do. Or you might just need to sort of come off your hands for a moment, give your hands a shake out. So sitting, kneeling, up or down, kneeling. And then when you're ready, coming into a second dog pose. toes. So big hands on the floor, tucking your toes under, exhaling, rocking your hips back over your heels. Again, up into your dog pose. And give yourself a few breaths in dog pose. Again, bending one knee, bending both knees, letting your head go. Big handprints on the floor. And then from this dog pose, whenever you're ready, you're going to start walking your hands in towards your feet. So we come into a forward bend. And again, once you arrive in your forward bend, if you prefer to bend your knees and rest your elbows on your thighs, you can do. Just see how it feels to, do bend your knees as much as you like in your forward bend. Let your head go. See how it feels to have all of your weight in your feet now. Really feel your heels rooting down into the ground. Let a breath come in. And then as you exhale, you're either going to roll up into standing or walk your hands up your thighs. So we end up in standing. Good. Very nice to see you now. So in standing, once we've, arrived, had a little drink of water, whatever we need to do, we're going to do this loose swinging twist. That's it. I was just thinking for a moment, where is the dog? But I think he's hopefully upstairs on his bed in my room, not on my bed. So when I was doing this one earlier today, I just thought, this is really nice for releasing my shoulders and finding a bit of easy movement. So I was doing it a bit longer perhaps than I normally might. So see how it feels for you today. And just that feeling that the whole of your body is in movement. And we're very much in this sort of, aren't we, sort of, even more so than would be in January normally, sort of stuck at home, not moving so much. So yeah, nice to really feel everything moving around. Good. Okay, when you can eventually bear to let that go, we're just going to do a little movement which we've been doing recently, where in standing, so you've got a little distance between your feet, you're going to bend your knees and give your pelvis a bit of a wiggle. So yes, very nice, excellent pelvis wiggling. So try to do this sort of side to side wiggling. Oh, and I just find this is so good for my lower back. So very nice, excellent. And then maybe give your feet a little shake out. And we're going to do a little bit of balancing on 2 feet. So the one where you've got your feet a little distance apart, and we come up onto the balls of our feet. And we'll go up and down into this a few times and see how it feels. So probably we're all doing a lot of walking at the moment. There's not that much else we can do. And so I've been noticing that my feet need these exercises. Walking is so great for us, but the feet can start to get a bit stiff and creaky. So this coming up onto the balls of the feet, coming back down is really good for our feet. So in a moment, if you're feeling steady or reasonably steady with this, we'll stay up in the balance, and we'll also take our arms up and see how that feels. So you can bring your weight forwards onto the balls of your feet, and then see how does it feel to float your arms up, and just trying to let your shoulders stay soft. Good. Seeing how it feels to have 2 or 3 or 4 cycles of breath here. That's it. Very nice. We can feel not only the feet working, but also up into our calves, maybe further up into our thighs. Very nice. And then in your own time, come down. And when you come down, then we're going to do another version of that. But just before we do, 1 foot at a time, roll onto the tops of your feet. So we're sort of doing the opposite movement in the toes. And it's a really good stretch for the front of the ankles. Yes, my favourites. So what we're going to do now is that same balance, but we'll do this mudra, Hakini mudra. So we're quite used to that. So first of all, we touch the fingers over the head, And then we bring them down in front of our chest. This mudra is about concentration, which is why I think it goes very well in a balance. It helps our concentration. So when you're ready, bringing your weight forward onto the balls of your feet, that's it. And then you can float your arms up. And then we have this interesting moment where we're touching our fingertips and thumb pads together without seeing. So if we can find them, good. Letting the shoulders drop. Very nice. And then when you want to, you can bring your hands down in front of your chest. And it's up to you. I quite like in this one to take my elbows out to the side, but you can also take your elbows down. It doesn't matter too much. Probably the most important thing is the shoulders stay soft and relaxed. Very nice. And we're still trying to do our best to balance. Very well done. Excellent. Yeah. So it's looking at you all, I think, yes, good. Do come down, have a little shake out, hands and feet. That mudra does help a little bit with our balance. So again, come to this one where you're coming onto the top of each foot. So you're stretching out through the front of the ankle, the tops of the toes. And then we're going to see how it feels to come back into a forward bend. So if your lower back was feeling at all creaky, you might like to come to the halfway point, at least to start with. So you're rolling forwards, your elbows are resting on your thighs, you're letting your head go, your knees are a little bit bent. If your lower back feels fine, then you could release forwards. And of course, if you go forwards into your forward bend and your lower back doesn't feel so happy, then just reverse and go back, elbows on your thighs. And have a few breaths in your forward bend, as much as possible, releasing the head, the arms, the spine forwards, and feeling your heels are rooting down into the ground. So let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And then with your next exhalation, you're going to roll back up into standing. Or again, walk your hands up the front of your thighs, if that's better. Lovely. So we're going to be taking a step forwards on our mat. So just make sure you've got enough space that you can step forwards. So your starting position is going to be with your feet a little distance apart, Tadasana, mountain pose as we know it. And then you're going to step, doesn't matter, let me see. No, you're going to step 1 foot forwards. It doesn't matter which. As long as when we come onto the other side, you do the other side. Yes, you stepped 1 foot forwards and then you're going to be shifting your weight forwards and back. So again, this is this really nice work for our feet. We come onto the ball of the back foot, the heel of the front foot. So we're sort of exercising the feet, stretching the feet, but we're also encouraging ourselves to settle down and feel steady. Now make sure, so settle your feet down now, just make sure that you've got this sideways distance, you're not on a bit of a tightrope and feeling wobbly. So we're going to do some movements where we're trying not to move below our waist. So it might be for a moment, you take your hands onto the rim of your pelvis and just feel the bones of the pelvis and tell yourself you're going to try not to move that part of you. And then can we swing our arms? And as we swing our arms, you can also move your shoulders and your head. So again, this feeling of trying to move from the waist up, but feel very steady and planted from the waist down. So it's a bit different than that other swinging twist. Good, that's nice. Let's sort of focus this in a bit more now and bring our hands onto our low ribs. So we'll do these little turning movements with our hands on our low ribs, and it might feel that, oh, we can't go very far at all. That's it. But actually it's great because we're really encouraging some movement in the ribs, which is so helpful for our breathing. Let's try bringing the fingertips up onto the shoulders now. And this lifts the ribs a little bit, so it might make it feel a bit easier. So we're turning the shoulders to the right and to the left. What about with the fingertips on the head, the crown of the head? That might make it feel easier still, possibly. Okay, good. And then release your arms. And we're going to come into a forward bend with our legs in this position. So the first thing you could do is to bend your front knee. And slide your hands down your front thigh a little bit. So it might be that you rest. So at this point, keep your back leg straight or fairly straight. You might rest your elbow on your front leg, or you could carry on folding down. So you're releasing your head and your arms towards the floor, and your chest might come quite close to your front leg thigh. Remember that front knee's bent. Can you have a couple of breaths here? See how it feels. You're trying to stay steady in your legs. Yes, you don't have to release down to the ground. You could be resting on your bent front leg. But you're trying to sort of give your head down to the ground and feel steady through your legs. And then we're going to come up on an out breath. So let a breath come in. Exhale, sink down into your feet and come back up into standing. Trying to come up and steady, but we might feel a bit wobbly. And then have a little shake out of your legs. Come back to your feet being in Tadasana, side by side. And then we're going to step the other foot forwards. Okay. And we'll do a little bit of that's it, shifting forwards and back. So remember, we've still got our side to side distance. We're not trying to catch ourselves out here by making it really hard. This is a bit of a balance, but we don't need to make it too unachievable. So from rocking forwards and back, settle both feet down. Bring your hands onto the bony rim of your pelvis, just for a moment, sort of think, okay, this part of me is not going to move. What's it like if you start to then move the shoulders, swing the arms, try not to move the pelvis? It's not always easy. Good. It's not the most natural feeling, so that's why we want to move our pelvis. Okay, and then like we did on the other side, just move through those other possibilities. So your hands on your low ribs, turning a little to the right and the left. Might not feel we go very far, but we might feel the ribs moving, which is very helpful. And then fingers on the shoulders. What's that like? Might feel a little bit freer, that's it. And then fingers on the crown of the head. And again, maybe that gives us a feeling of a bit more movement. Lovely. And then we're going to pause in the center, release the arms, see how it feels to fold forwards again. So bending the front knee. And we've got these options. We've got these options of resting onto our front leg. And we're not thinking about our spine staying flat in this at the moment. We're letting our spine curve. And we can also fold further forwards if we want to. The chest comes onto the thigh. We let our head go. We let our arms go. And we're trying to stay steady through the legs. So even if your fingertips touch the floor, actually you're really trying to feel that your legs are working to support you to feel steady. Let a breath come in and leave you in your forward bend. So have a cycle of breath there. And then exhaling, sinking down into your feet, coming back up into standing. Good. And again, have a little shake out. And then what I'd like you to do is just contrast that forward bend with our normal forward bend, where our feet are side by side, which might then again feel much easier. So come back to your feet being side to side. See how it feels to go forwards into a forward bend in this position. So again, of course, you can rest your elbows on your thighs, but you might find, you can release all the way forwards. And just, how does that feel? Letting the head go, letting the arms go, feeling as floppy as possible. That's nice. Yes, Sheila. So if you feel that you want to do a little bit of that sort of side to side weeping willow movement in this one, that could be nice. Absolutely. Yeah. So if that helps you feel sort of soft and floppy in the upper body. Good. And then whenever you're ready, you're going to pause in the center, let a breath come in. That's it. Sink into your heels, roll up into standing. And then you might just like to have a little shake out of your legs. We're going to do this breathing exercise that I didn't do with you in the first week of term, but I did with some of the other classes, and I just think it's quite a good one at the moment because it's uplifting, which is maybe what we all need. So And in fact, it's called breath of joy. So you're going to have your feet possibly a bit wider apart than we normally do in standing, and with your knees a little bit bent. So it's a bit more like a sort of Tai Chi stance. So feet a bit wider apart, knees a little bit bent. We move our arms into 3 positions on a single on a single in-breath. I might just show you to start with. So we're going to be breathing in, taking the arms up in front of us, breathing in, same breath, arms wide, same breath, arms up, and then with a big we fold forwards. Okay, so it might seem like quite a lot to do on a single in-breath, so do take extra breaths if you need to. What I've found is I just don't stay in any of those positions too long. So, okay, let's try it out. We'll do it a few times, then we'll do some other things, and then we'll come back to it. So maybe exhale to start with, so knees a little bit bent, feet wide, and then as we breathe in, we take our arms up in front of us. And then we carry on breathing in to take our arms wide, and we carry on breathing in to take our arms up. And then as we exhale, going forwards. And then we come back up into standing. And we repeat that. So we're breathing in, arms straight in front of us. Carry on that in-breath, taking the arms wide. Carry on that in-breath, taking the arms up. And then big exhalation as you go forwards. Good. Let's try that a few more times. So back into standing. So breathing in, arms up in front of us. Carry on that in-breath, take the arms wide. Carry on the in-breath, arms up, and then and then back up into standing. We'll do it twice more. So remember, knees a little bit bent, breathing in, arms straight in front of you, breathing in, arms wide, breathing in, arms up, and then last time. Breathing in, breathing in, breathing in. Very nice. So I think there's sort of 2 things going on in this. It's this focus on the in-breath. This can be sort of uplifting, and then that big exhalation lets us release tension. But anyway, we'll come back, I think, after we've done a couple of other things, and just try it a couple more times. And then it's something we're going to come back to, I thought, at least for the next few weeks when we all need uplifting. So we're going to come back to stepping 1 foot forwards here. So come back to your feet being our normal little distance apart, and come back to stepping forwards with your first foot. Doesn't matter really if it's a different, doesn't matter if it's a different foot to last time. Step 1 foot forwards, and again do a little bit of rocking your weight forwards and back. So it's just that feeling of dropping our weight down into our feet. And we're going to be coming into a standing balance here. So one where we take our weight into 1 foot, and it's going to be the front foot. So what I'd like you to do from here is settle down, both feet on the floor with your front knee bent. And bring your hands into prayer pose at your heart. Okay. So from here, we're going to be transferring our weight into our bent front knee. And the back knee, so we come into, we'll also be bent. So we're in this sort of funny, exaggerated running position, which we've done before. So obviously it's a bit like road runner. And then from here, we start to straighten both knees, reach, even push the back heel away from us. And then as that happens, we can let our upper body come down a little bit. So we're lengthening our back leg away from us. Yes, and if you need to that's it, turn around in your room, Elaine, so you have space to do this. Very nice. So you're not going any lower than feeling your sort of parallel with the ground, or you imagine your body is in line with the horizon, and you might not go that low. Very nice. Good. And that's it. Beautiful. Really nice. Keep your thumbs resting on your breastbone. So I just feel it's helpful to have the hands really sort of tucked away, touching the body. Good. And remember, I think that, yes, so if we get really caught up in the folding forwards, come back to this sort of place where we've got one knee bent, we're upright, we're sort of almost bouncing a bit on a standing knee, and then it might just be what happens. I was thinking when I was doing this yesterday, what happens is I'm just pushing the back heel away from you. That's our focus. Good. I think we should try the other foot before we wear that leg out. So I'm just telling you, actually no, I won't do that. So come back to both feet being side by side and then step the other foot forwards. We're just doing a little bit of forward toing and throwing. So remember, our intention is just to see how can we find some sort of calm, stability on one foot. It doesn't really matter what we're doing, how far into the pose we get. So organising yourself, so your front, both feet are on the floor, your front knees bent, your back leg straight, hands in prayer pose, and then hands resting on your breastbone. So you don't need to then worry about the arms. And then shifting your weight into your bent front knee. And just see, can you balance at this point? And then you just start to reach back behind you, push back behind you with the raised heel. Slowly, slowly letting both knees straighten but not lock. And maybe you find yourself tipping forwards. Good, that's really well done, amazing, absolutely beautiful. And if it all starts to sort of go a little bit awry, but it's looking amazing on that side, you can always come back if you want to try again. Elaine, that was so incredible. So everyone looks amazing, but I've got a very good view of Elaine here. So from the waist down. So yes, if it went a little bit awry and you want to come back to that starting point where you're sort of balancing on one bent knee, just trying, reaching, pushing back behind you with the raised heel. And with all balances, maybe that's it, beautiful, well done, well done. Maybe we capture it for a moment. Maybe we don't. Have a little shake out. Yes, come into another forward bend with your feet side by side, because sometimes that one is a little bit challenging on the lower back. So let yourself roll forwards. Seeing how it feels. Now, sometimes when I've done a few forward bends like we have today, I then like to do the variation where I catch my hands or catch one hand around the other wrist, around the back of my legs. So, you don't have to do that. I probably would bend my knees quite a lot if I did that. But sometimes it's nice just to have different focus. Or you could just bring your hands onto the back of your heels. That's also quite nice. Or another variation is to tuck your fingers under your toes. So with your palms going up. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can look at me. That's another variation. And then again, we'll roll back up into standing. And have a little shake out. We're going to do one more standing pose with our feet in this stepped forward position. So we're going to be coming into the twisting movement in this one, which we all know, but it's quite challenging. So again, step one foot forwards. And like we did for our balance, you're going to be bending your front knee, but keeping your back leg straight and keeping both feet on the ground. So again, remember that you've got your sideways distance. And we're going to fold forwards so that we're leaning either our hands or our forearm onto our bent front leg. But unlike when we did the balance earlier, we're trying to let our spine lengthen out and flatten because we're going to twist from here. So if we can feel that our spine is long and flat rather than rounding forwards. And then from here, you're going to bring your back leg hand onto the back of your pelvis. And you're going to be starting to turn towards the back leg. So the other arm can stay resting on your bent front leg, or you can release that arm to the ground. Or it could even come to rest on your shin or your ankle. Some of you on the floor. Good. And then it might be, as you've turned in the direction of the back leg, but you're not looking towards the back leg. You want to sort of look straight forwards. And you can take your top arm up towards the ceiling. If you take your top arm up towards the ceiling, is your hand sort of soft and relaxed? And your hand should be facing forwards in the same direction as your chest. Good. Very nice. Have a breath or two in this twist. Lovely. And then from here, you're going to untwist and let yourself come into a forward bend. So either you've got your elbow on your front leg thigh or you're folding your chest down, letting your arms go into this forward bend. Breath or two here. And then sinking into your heels, coming back upright. Have a little shake out. I'm just going to show you, I think, in me on the, I know you all know this one, but as you come forwards, and sometimes if I say turn towards your back leg, it's not that you want to look at your back leg. It's just you're turning your body in that direction. So if you can see here, I'm trying to stay quite long from my shoulder to my hip. So just if that was confusing, I'm sorry. I'm trying to avoid lefts and rights. But this might be more confusing at this point. So we're going to do it on the other side. I've just turned around on my mat so I don't turn away from you. So you're going to step the other foot forwards and you're going to bend that front knee. So we step the foot forwards, we've got our hip width, our sideways distance, we've bent the front knee, we're going to fold forwards now. Resting our hands or our forearm on that bent front leg. Trying to feel that our spine is long and flat rather than rounded, particularly in the upper back. And then we can take the back leg hand onto the back of the pelvis. And so remember, when I say sort of turning towards the back leg, we're turning to that side, we're not turning to look at the back leg. We want to keep this feeling of our top shoulder moving sort of away from our pelvis. So we're very open through the front of the chest. You could then release your bottom arm down to the ground. The arm could hang, or the fingers could come onto your ankle or your shin. Some of you, the floor. Yeah, that's it. And the top arm can come up. Very nice. It looks really lovely on this side. Well done. Good. And have a couple of breaths there. So what we're trying to do here is just not get completely tense and feel unpleasant. Good. For a couple of breaths, and then we can untwist and let ourselves come into our forward bend, flopping forwards or resting on that bent front leg. And then sinking into both feet, coming back up into standing. Well done. Have a little shake out. And so just before we come out of standing, I wanted us to revisit the breath of joy. I think maybe 3 times, just because it might feel a bit easier when we do something new. I think it's quite good to come back to it. So remember, come back with your feet a bit wider apart. This sort of Tai Chi stance where our knees are bent. We've got this feeling of being able to sort of drop the tailbone down to the ground. Good. And then we let a breath come in. Oh, sorry, arms in front of us. That's it. Breathe in, breathe in. Breathe in. And then back up into standing. I'm just waving at my neighbour. So breathing in, breathing in, breathing in. One last time. Good. Breathing in. Breathing in, breathing in. Good. Sinking into your heels, rolling up into standing. And let's, just before we leave standing, is this right? No, we're going to now move down out of standing, through a forward bend, dog pose. If you feel that you might like to do your one-legged dog pose, you could do. And then when we come out of dog pose, we're going to come into a lunge before we come into child pose. So at the back of the mat, we could do this a bit like sun salute, which is nice. We could bring our hands, you can, if you're already there, Sheila, it's fine. You don't have to come back. Bring your hands into prayer pose. Let a breath come in as you exhale. Take your arms down and then up. Breathe in, feeling long and tall. Rolling down into a forward bend. Having a couple of breaths there and then walking your hands on into dog. And then if you feel so inclined in your dog pose, you could do any of your one-legged dog pose variations that you would like to do. And if you don't want to do any one-legged dog pose variations, that's also fine. So this might be that feeling of taking one leg up, rolling your pelvis, reaching back into your heel. And obviously, it's a little bit like our one leg balance, but it's not such a balance. And it's up to you. From dog pose, you could, if you're doing a one-leg dogs, you've done them on both sides, from dog pose, you could step one of your feet straight forwards into lunge, or you could come down onto hands and knees and step a foot forwards into lunge. And that's it. Just let yourself arrive in your lunge. Very nice. So we've done a lot of forward bends today. I just wanted us to do a little bit of now opening through the front of our body. So obviously what we're feeling in lunge is this delightful stretch, yes, through the front of the back leg thigh. Back toes can be tucked under or flat. Doesn't matter, whichever feels better for you. Have a couple more breaths on this first side of lunge and then we'll swap sides. Again, we've got our front knee over our front heel. It's this feeling of giving the pelvis down to the ground. And then we can, from hands and knees, we can ease back a little bit, and from hands and knees we can swap onto the other side of lunge and see how it feels. And so again, just this opportunity to open out a bit through the front of the body after all those forward bends we've done. Feeling steady, so we've got this feeling of our knee over our heel and our front leg, so we're feeling steady and supported through this front leg. And again, you can play around with whether your back toes are tucked under or flat. Again, you know, what feels better for your back knee, what feels better around your pelvis. And then from here, you're going to just then ease yourself back. What I'd like you to do, actually, from hands and knees, you're going to come into child pose, but I'd like you to round your back. And then from rounding your back, rock your hips back over your heels into child pose, taking your knees a bit wider apart if you like. And settling down into child pose. Let your elbows come to rest on the floor. That's nice. Make it as comfortable as possible. We're going to have 3 cycles of breath here. And again, if you're more comfortable in kneeling, you can always come into kneeling. So again, focusing in on your breathing, feeling the breath come in, feeling the breath leaving you. So one last cycle of breath where we just really give ourselves that time and space to feel the movement of our breath through our body. Good. And then we're going to come into cobbler pose, and from cobbler pose on into pinwheel. And we're going to, in pinwheel, do another movement to open through the front of the body. So it's just before we come to lie down. So come into cobbler pose and lean back onto your arms. And that's it. Yeah, just let the knees be heavy. It doesn't matter where they go to. Good. And then from here, we'll come on into pinwheel. So let one knee come over on top of the other knee and let that top leg slide back. And a little bit of circling here. So again, I was thinking about another movement, and so it's not always the same for everyone, but I was trying to think about movements that are a bit uplifting, and so I think we all need a bit of this at the moment. And so we're going to be doing our pinwheel sort of twist and movement that opens us through the front of the body. So you're going to lean onto, so the knee that's going out to the side, you're going to lean onto that hand and arm, yeah? And then we start this movement. You remember where we're sort of drawing a big circle with our other arm from our back foot around to that hand we're leaning on. And you're letting your whole body move. So as we turn towards our supporting arm, you're letting your pelvis move. Yeah? Good. You can make the movement a little bit more dynamic now. So this arm is now going to give you a slap. Yeah, a slap on your back as you turn. That's it. Good. Good. Very nice. Okay. Now, the next time you slap yourself on the back, keep your hand there. And then you're going to see what's it like to sink into your supporting arm and lift your pelvis. That's it. Good. Yeah. And then come back down again. We'll go a little bit further the next time. So release your arm, bring your arm back. So I'm going to, the whole movement, swing your arm around, slap yourself on your back, sink into your supporting arm. And this time you can reach your arm up towards the ceiling and look up towards the ceiling. Good. And then come all the way back down, hand back onto your shoulder, and then the sweeping movement with your arm. We'll do this twice more. So swing your arm, slap yourself on your back, lean down into your supporting arm, reaching up towards the ceiling, looking up. And then sort of reverse the movement, come back down, hand onto your shoulder. Good. This is this rock star movement. If you look at this on YouTube, that's what it's called. So hopefully it's a sort of movement that makes us just feel a little bit alive and maybe uplifted. This time, when you've done that 3 times and you come back down, you're then going to come into your pinwheel forward bend. So you're going to fold the weight of your body over that knee that's going out to the side. And have a few breaths there. And just let the shoulders soften as much as possible. Good. And in our pinwheel forward bend, it's a chance for the lower back to also sort of release and widen and undo a bit. Okay, so then walk your hands back in towards you and we'll move, let's come back into this side sitting movement, back through cobbler pose. You can just see sometimes we come into cobbler pose and it feels a little bit easier. And then we'll move on into side 2 of pinwheel. And first of all, a little bit of settling and circling. So obviously when I say that a movement is uplifting, it's not always going to be for all of us. It might be your least favourite movement and it's just frustrating rather than uplifting. So let's lean. So obviously the knee that's going out to the side, we lean onto that arm. And we let our weight shift that way. So we're not trying to keep this back leg buttock on the floor. And then we can start to do our little sort of, well, bigger circle maybe. So this arm that we're not leaning on, the fingertips can trace a sort of half circle, semicircle from our back foot to our supporting hand. That's it. And we let our whole selves move. We let our body and our pelvis turn as we're doing this. We can make it a little bit more dynamic, so we can then start to give ourselves a slap on the back as we turn. And all the time we're just thinking about how is it to start to support our weight through that arm we're leaning onto. So the next time you give yourself a slap on the back, you can lean into your arm and let your pelvis come up. And you could, if you feel comfortable, reach your arm up towards the ceiling. You can do that 2 or 3 more times. So come all the way down, all the way out, and then swinging your arm round, slapping yourself on the back, leaning into your arm, reaching up towards the ceiling, feeling the sense of opening through the front of the body, coming back down. That's it. And once or twice more. So swinging the arm, leaning into the supporting arm, reaching up, opening through the front of the body, coming back down. Good. And one last time if you like. So we're balanced. Good, very nice. Lovely. And then when you've had enough, it's really beautiful. Yeah, so maybe the uplifting part of this is that we're just moving in a sort of quite free way. And then when you've had enough, you're folding into your forward bend, your pinwheel forward bend for 2 or 3 cycles of breath. Good. Very nice. Lovely. And then from your pinwheel forward bend, you can walk your hands in towards you. And we'll just finish finally revisiting cobbler pose before we lie down for a few breaths. Because we lay down more at the start, we're just having a short period of lying down now. So yeah, and Aditi, I think I saw you doing a little bit of rocking. So if you come into cobbler pose and you feel that you want to do any rocking movements, you can do. You can also just keep leaning back onto your arms. And then at this point, you could think about putting on your warm things, socks, jumpers, and making your way down onto your back. So we'll just do a couple of very simple things on our backs, and then we'll have a little bit of just quiet breathing lying down. So make sure you're going to be warm enough. Good. So yes, settle down. I think settle down with your knees bent and your feet standing on the floor to start with, because we'll revisit a couple of our very familiar things from the beginning. So the first thing you might like to do when you've arrived on your back is to come back to where we started and feeling the contact of your head and shoulders on the floor. And then starting to let your head roll a little bit to the right and to the left. So easing your head from side to side. And from rolling your head to the right and to the left. Then find a comfortable place to settle the centre of the back of your head on the floor. And then bring your attention down to your pelvis and your legs and your footprints on the ground, and start to let your knees tilt to the right and to the left. And this can be a little movement or a larger movement. So just very much try to do something that feels good for you, for your body right now. Not pushing anything, just something that feels, soothing, calming, relaxing, enjoyable. And then in your own time, you're going to settle down. So it's up to you whether you keep your knees bent or whether you lengthen your legs out. And it's up to you whether you rest your hands on the front of your body. Yes, you put your blankets on now is a good move, Helen, if you have a blanket. So either your hands can rest on the front of your body, or your arms and your hands can rest on the floor beside you. And I'd like you to have 3 sighing breaths. So a bit like the the breath we were doing, the breath of joy, the out breath there. So letting your breath come in. And just, yeah, letting your body feel heavy with the big exhalation. And we'll do that twice more. And then for another, let's see how we're doing. Yeah, just for another minute or so, I'd like you to lie quietly, just allowing yourselves to rest. Be being aware of the flow of your in and your out breath somewhere in your body. And feeling your body resting heavily on the ground. So thank you, everyone. Take your time. Thank you very much.